Wednesday, September 10th, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. Currently 311. This is about an hour plus late today. Sorry about that. Had some situations, so let's get on with this. I start out with stock market indexes, go to futures and a few stocks. We have another up day, not a big one, another point or two or so, but it keeps on creeping up in the stock market indexes. Not all of them, but most. I'm referring to Spider, in the Qs, not necessarily the Russell or the YM. They're a little bit different. They're acting different lately. So another slightly higher close and a new historic high for the MES. Now, that's the ES. Normally, this is very bullish, but my problem is I'm still expecting some sell signals, and I think they're going to occur very soon to start the move down into the October lows. And that is a very highly likely bottom of the market somewhere price-wise, but during October. Now, I am looking for a move down at a very bare minimum. This is probably just a start. 63, 62. I think that's going to get broken. Maybe on one big down day. That would not surprise me. Now, this is the important level. 62.43, give or take a point or so, several ticks. That support level goes back to essentially the beginning of July. So it's 2 months and a fraction of lows that we will be breaking when we start closing below 62.45, which I definitely expect is going to happen. So now what? If that happens, and I'm not always right, obviously, if I'm right, then I think the market could easily come down a lot further. I'm talking about lower than 6,000. I'm talking about 5,500 maybe. Somewhere in that broad ballpark low area. And yes, only in the next 2 months. Pretty big break. Remember, this bear move here started February 20th and ended only April 7th, less than 2 months. And it was bigger than what I just talked about. So it's not like it can't happen. Take a look at your historical charts. See what kind of percentage crashes we've had. They've been pretty darn big. Include COVID if you want. But I go back to the 1970s, the Russian grain deal for grains, for example, and everything since. So I'm looking for a big break. I'm looking for a signal, and I'm going to scream bloody murder when it happens, and I think it's going to fairly soon, but I haven't got it yet. Next chart is the 1 minute chart, 5 minutes, on the E-mini, and it drifted off late in the day, but still, there's nothing there that causes me to be screaming bloody murder, sell, sell, sell. But I think it's coming. Next, Spider, SPY. New highs, new high closes, normally very bullish, and we are not overbought yet. So I can justify one more rally that could be very sharp and fast. That would typically be called a potential blow-off top, especially if it gapped up. That would be an exhaustion gap. So we haven't got that yet. So mostly I'm looking for bearish engulfings, and we had one that was pretty nice back on July 31st, and it went down very sharply the next day, but it didn't last but a day. But it still went down a lot the next day. Made new lows for weeks. From the highest high for history to new lows for a few weeks is a pretty good break. And that, I think, is going to be put to shame by what we're going to see here soon. Next, we've got the 1 minute chart on the Spider. I'm not going to spit the 5 minute chart. I'm not going to spend much time. It did get up. It came down to the previous day's high, stopped, and went right back up again, which is classic bullish type of price action. I know very well. We've got a new high for the trend completely or by a very small number of ticks, QQQ, but it didn't stay there. Not that that's particularly bearish. It sometimes causes a downside correction. The important level for the QQQ is 551. Close below that, and we're on our way down. And when we do that, if we do that, I'll be giving you a lot more detail as to how much lower and timing on it as well. 5-minute chart, so what? NASDAQ. Afternoon markets already opened. Today we made a new high, but it's not quite a new historic high, super close. All of these indexes are acting pretty darn good, but not particularly quickly or fast. I don't have a blow off top. I just have a creeping up, steady bull move at the moment. But I know those things can be erased very fast, in hours. You get a slow moving up market for a week or two, it can be erased in a day or a fraction of a day. Next, NASDAQ 5-minute chart. Yeah. Next is the YM Dow, and it's got a flat top now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe highs at the same level, and they're right up against their resistance level. That is the kind of thing that I look for. Now, we have not closed yet below the low of one of my bearish engulfings here that didn't work particularly well, a little bit, scalping. But if it starts to close below that low of 44.977, then I think we're on the way down. And then we're looking for lower lows further back in time and test of more profound, important support levels that if they're relatively close, and I think 43.467 is not very far away, frankly, and lower. So as that happens, I'll be detailing it. And here we have the Russell in a huge area of resistance, slowly making new highs over a week or two each time. No sign of it topping out yet. What can I say? I know what to look for. I haven't found it yet. I know the setups. You can never make the market do what you want it to do. You always have to move with it. So at the moment, I'm reluctantly, slightly friendly to the stock indexes. But I will turn on a dime as soon as I get a signal like crazy, because I'm very optimistic about a major buying opportunity in October. Next, Russell 5-minute chart. Okay, bonds. Overbought last couple of days. Yesterday, we did have an outside trading range with a higher close. Sometimes I call them bass-backwards reversal because that normally is bullish. But if you're overbought, especially in a resistance area, which we're not, then these outside up days can be a top. They're fairly rare. They don't happen very often. Normally, a bullish engulfing like this one on the bottom of September 3rd does exactly what this one does. Nice sharp rally, 4 days worth to where we are. But we got overbought. So I'm looking at this as the beginning of the downside correction. If bonds go down, rates go up over time, not necessarily the same day or anything. And as this market goes up, supposedly rates go down. Now, we all know that we're going to supposedly get a little bit of a rate decrease in September. That's what they said. I don't know if it's going to come true. They can always change their opinion. That's what they're supposed to be, is flexible depending upon the economic numbers that they come up with, the Fed. So we'll see. This is slightly bearish, in my opinion, at the moment for bonds. Notes had an outside down day yesterday in an overbought condition and got an ER sell signal. Today, we have another higher close. It's not working. This signal, unfortunately, had a lot of hope to it, but I don't think it's going to produce the high that I wanted. In fact, I think today's high is a couple of ticks above yesterday's high, which was 1320 yesterday's high, and today we have a high of 1320 and a half tick. 1/2 tick. This is the kind of thing, this huge red bearish engulfing I'm looking for. That's the kind of thing, not very big, but boy, oh boy, did that top the market out. Bottoms are green when they happen correctly, and tops are red. Next, we've got, we've got crude support holding, starting to move its way up between a rock and a hard spot. I do think it's going to be easy to get up to 66 and maybe 67 60. A week or two. Support, if it's broken, change the whole story, down you go. Next, we're starting to slip now on natural gas. Remember, I've been talking about this head and shoulder top for months and months. It's doing fine on the average. We did have a rally for about 2.5, 3 weeks. That's normal. It didn't go up very much. The original breakout is way over here back in late June. I'm supposed to get down to 1.3 if the pattern works completely in the end correctly. And so far, there's nothing wrong with it. I think we've started to head back down again. Looks like it's got overbought and starting to slide. Next, heating oil. Rocking a hard spot. Resistance above could stop it. Support below could hold it. So I have no breakout, no signals, no nothing. RSI is very neutral. I got to wait. No opinion momentarily. Neutral. Gold is overbought. I'm looking for a sell signal. I haven't got one yet. So I could continue to inch its way upward. And actually, it's moving up fairly nicely on the average. But I think it's going to be topping out very soon. But the downside is probably only down to 35.37, where there's extremely good support. I think we're topping out, coming back down for a downside correction and a bull trend. Silver, basically the same thing, but this one has a sideways trading range for over a week. And we're in the middle of it. And we did have a bullish engulfing overbought conditions on the high day. That's one of my Bass Acros reversals. Wait a moment. I apologize. No, I'll leave it at that. So I think it's topping out in silver. Not that I'm super bearish. The major long-term trend is still up. All bull trends have downside corrections that last a few days, a few weeks, and sometimes a month or two, and then back again. Next, platinum. Same kind of story. Got overbought at resistance levels a week ago. We had one sell signal a couple of days ago. That one didn't work very well either. And I think it's going to start to make new lows soon. Now, we had a gigantic, huge bearish engulfing ER sell signal in copper on July 30th. I remind you that the moment it gets below the low of the previous day, right there, you have a new short sale signal, and that's where we went short for ER1 scalp at 5.6150. Gigantic down day. Huge profit on copper on that day for that signal. And since it's going sideways, it can't decide what to do. It's holding on to its last gasp. I think it's going to make new lows soon. Next, soybeans and the grains. I'm trying to justify technically the beginning of a long-term bull market. And now I did get a buy signal almost on the exact low, August 11th. It's worked great. It went up to resistance areas. Now it's come down to a little support. It's trying to hold, not very active, not very well. This is a minor new low close for about a week. It does appear as if it's going to make another new low. That could be misleading. It's not trading below the support area yet. So although I could justify one new sharp break, 20, 40 cents, something like that, I haven't got it yet. And the longer term picture is obviously a giant sideways bottom, I think a bottom building. Next, soybean oil dropped off below the neckline on a head and shoulder bottom that broke out in an absolute classic manner back on June 13th when I told you in advance about this. It worked out pretty good for 50% of its minimum upside objective, which was 62.62 I was originally saying. Now it's a little bit lower. But that killed the neckline yesterday, and it's trading 100% below the neckline today. So that's it. I have to erase the neckline, erase the upside objective, and I'm back to a big support area and maybe a little bit more of a downside move, and then back up again. The trend is up. The pattern didn't work because the neckline's been violated for 2 days, not just one. And I told you I'd erase those lines. The gaps are all closed now. We've got support below the market, so maybe a little lower, but I am looking for a turn up very soon. We almost got oversold. one more good down day, we'll be oversold and ready for a rally, and maybe touching the support area also, which is not too much lower. Next, we're already starting to head up a little bit on soybean meal, a down day today. I'm neutral to friendly. I'm looking for a test of 298. At the moment, I'm not looking for a move down below 281.60. So I'm neutral to friendly at the moment on meal. Corn, same comment. Sideways trading range. I think it's got elbow room on the upside to rally some more. And that would be up here to close a gap, which would be up to about 440. It could have a little bit lower levels. It's broken a profound bear trend line, which had several points on it. And the bottom of the market is almost exactly the low with a bullish engulfing ER buy signal that was worked great. Next, I've got wheat. It's slowly chewing away at previous lows. Were only made a few days ago. So wheat is the worst looking of all the grains at the moment, not oversold. I think it can make new lows again, and that will be a lower low ever since the war started. And wow, what can I say? I don't have anything to say that's really optimistic at the moment about wheat. Looking for lower levels. Next, we had a downside correction in Shell, got oversold a couple days ago, bounced a little bit, still closing strong today. We're beginning to get locked into between a rock and a hard spot. So resistance above could stop it again, and that's 73 to 75. And support just held when it was oversold. So a little neutral to a little bit more bounce. Nothing major at the moment. But I would say that if Shell can close above this resistance area, then we have a major bullish breakout. Gapping down today in Apple. Well, the previous gap, which I was looking to get closed, is closed. But now all of a sudden we have a new gap right here. And now I'm going to bullseye that gap. And now we're supposed to go back up to this gap and trade in that little narrow range. I think that Apple could also be rolling over. A close below 223.60 or 70 is probably going to cause it to go down a chunk more. What about Tesla? Resistance stopped it with a bearish engulfing, maybe missing a tick or something. But again, rallied back up to the same levels, stopped, and came back to close approximately unchanged. There is a little gap to close still. Yesterday, it closed a little bit of it, not much. And we're back to the NVIDIA, which, interestingly enough, had a bullish engulfing buy signal yesterday. It's green, and we popped up quite a bit, very nicely, $6.50 from close to close today. Gapping up has left behind a 6-day period isolated. One might try to call it a 6-day island bottom, but island bottoms are almost always 1 day, or an island top 1 day, sometimes 2 days, but not 6. Doesn't happen. So I'm looking for a move down, right back down again to close the gap that we created today. And we're back to the E-mini. You guys have a great day. Sorry this was so late. Profitable trading to you.